and welcome to Real Talk, where every Sunday night we offer insight, education, and resources to in-home caregivers and those affected in their world, the children, the parents, the extended family, and everyone else involved. And our goal is to offer real-life topics and learning through discussion about real issues and offering you real solutions. And tonight, I am excited to talk to our guest because she's one of my favorite people in the world. When I'm having a bad day, I send her a text or I give her a call and we have a good laugh and things get better pretty quick. But that is Stella Reed. I love her, consider her a good friend, and I'm pleased to have her on tonight. However, most of you probably know her as Nanny Stella from the TV show Nanny 911. But who has gone so much farther than a television show and who has made an impact in our industry in a really significant way. And I'm excited to talk to her about a few different things around that, but one in particular today, because indirectly or directly it involves our company as well. So we're excited about it. Her straightforward approach and her amazing passion for supporting families, nannies, newborn care specialists, and our industry as a whole has really been refreshing, and it's been game-changing for a lot of people. So before we dig into our learning tonight, Stella, welcome. We're really excited to have you.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm
Yes.
very excited to be here. In fact, I was getting a little bit offended as to why it was taking me so long to get on this show.
It's been amazing. When we put the call out for speakers initially, we had so many people respond that we've just been at the point where now we're getting to, hey, let's reach out to specific people because we think they have something really amazing to share with our audience. So before we dig into our topic for tonight, can you tell us just a little bit about you, where you come from? Because obviously, for those who don't know, you're not an American accent they're listening to, how you ended up on television and kind of what you're doing now.
Yeah, sure. Let's see if we can keep that into the time frame allotted. Right now I'm sitting in my little she shed out in California. I live in Los Angeles with my husband, Mike, and my son, Mason, who's going to be 9. We call him the smiling assassin for lots of reasons. Definitely met my match there. Even though I'm British, I am an American citizen. I've been here over 30 years now. I came here for a vacation, said I was never coming back, and a year later moved here and have basically stayed here. So that shows you how fickle I am. A little bit about my background in the industry. I started as a nanny in 1989. I've reinvented myself many times along the way, always under the umbrella of the childcare industry. Nanny, newborn care specialist, doula, parent coach, reality TV show. And what I also do now is parent coaching and what we're going to talk about, the elements of training in the nanny industry. Not sure what else you need to know.
Well, I think at least give us just a little tidbit because I think a lot of people are going to be interested about being on a reality show.
Oh, Lordy. So,
I want to share.
Yeah. So I sort of ended up on the show by default, if you will. The casting producers and everybody in LA was casting for this show way back when, I forget now, 2004. I was actually out of the country. I worked for a high profile movie producer. We were actually on tour for Matrix, the movie. So I was gone. And when I came back, a friend of mine said to me, have you not heard about this show, Nanny 911? And I'm like, no. And honestly, no disrespect, but everybody and their dog interviewed for Nanny 911. I hadn't at the time. Long story short, they'd called me. They did call me when I got back. They'd called me and left a message, but they called me and said, we're very interested, blah, blah, blah. But they said, we need 10 weeks of your life. The initial production run was 10 weeks. So me being the cheeky one that I am, I'm like, you're absolutely off your heads. I don't have 10 minutes, let alone 10 weeks. I'm married, I have stepkids, I work full time, can't do it. But I pouted for weeks about this because I decided, as cocky or confident, whatever word you want to allocate to me, I decided that it wasn't going to be as good as it could be without me. So I complained. So I complained about it to the movie producer, I might add, and luckily or unluckily, however you view it, they called me back and said, we'd really like to meet you. You come highly recommended. And I'm like, am I being punked right now? Are you trying to rub salt in my wounds? I'm not available. Why are you not available? Well, I don't have 10 weeks. 10 weeks. We just need a week. So I knew I could pull off a week because I was in a job share situation. So I went along just to put myself out of my misery because I was sick of hearing about it. And basically went from producer to producer to producer. And by the end of these 3 interviews, I was on board. They wanted me. I wanted to be on the show. I signed up for 1 episode, at the most 2. That didn't happen. The rest is history. Yeah, it was crazy. It was wonderful. I have very high therapy bills for that show. But it gave me this wonderful platform of, being somewhat, as my son has called me today, famous or infamous. It gave me this platform to be able to do what I consider wonderful things.
Yep, absolutely. I would agree that it's a great thing and it's fun, but it has really provided you a platform because people want to talk to you. People are interested in that kind of thing. And yes, I think that they picked the right person by putting you on there. But
I'll take that as a compliment.
It is. It absolutely is. So let's dig into our topic for tonight, because you and I both are involved in this. I'm more indirectly, you're more directly, but nevertheless, we literally field questions almost every day around this topic. I had 3 this morning, 1 via private message and 2 via email. And so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about cash, what it is, what the brand is, why it matters, what difference this makes in terms of training, that sort of thing. So can you first start off by telling us a little bit about the brand Cash? What is it?
Yes. So CASH stands for Council for Awards in Care, Health and Education. But let me give you a little bit of a backstory. So many, many years ago, there was a UK qualification called the NNEB. That stands for National Nursery Education Board. CASH and its actually new company, NCFE, own that brand of the NNEB. But the NNEB has been archived. It's actually sitting on a shelf per se in the offices in Newcastle of CASH and NCFE. What it was a prerequisite to nursing, but it was also a prerequisite to working in a nursery school. So that hence National Nursery Education Board. CASH doesn't just deliver training for nannies, childcare providers. They are a brand that delivers a training across the globe and across all aspects of life. I hold them in very high esteem, hence going and seeking their approval to become basically the only US training center for their brand, which I'll just show you this. I like my little props. So this is my approval of being the only US training center for CASH. I just think they're remarkable. I think they're remarkable purely because they hold very, very high standards. You and I are in the trenches with this because we are symbiotic partners on a newborn care specialist course, and we know what it took to get it approved, and we know what it takes to keep it approved because we are audited. CASH is very, very regulated. They are overseen by Ofsted, which is a government regulated body in the UK. I'm going to put a little footnote in here. I apologize that we're going to keep talking about the UK, but there's a reason behind that. The UK holds nannying in a different light to the US. The US, we're definitely getting there on, stamp of approvals for nannies and training and recognition, but the UK have been there for quite a long time, a lot more than we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think on a worldwide scale, the UK is essentially viewed as the standard that everybody strives to. I think sometimes nannies in the UK, from what I hear from them, don't feel like they have the respect that they should be getting. But outside the UK, the British nanny is the gold standard. And that's a huge part of why, when we looked into options for accreditation, cash was our only thing at the time. I looked at that and I thought, oh, wow, I would love to have our program accredited by cash. And then my first thought was, we'll never get there. You know, their standards are too high. I will never be able to meet that standard. But with your assistance and your connections with them, and them being really clear and holding our feet to the fire in terms of the standards, our program, our foundational program, actually is now accredited through cash. And because of that, there is a route to certification. You also have a training program, or not, but with Michelle, or a symbiotic relationship with Michelle, similar. I'm not exactly sure how that whole thing works, but nevertheless, there's also a nanny certification, correct?
Absolutely. So first of all, I'm going to just stick with one point. You're being very humble about not being accredited or not being approved. One thing I'm going to say, and I stand by this, I don't partner even in symbiotic relationships with people that aren't smarter than I am. And that's what I did. Yourself and Michelle Leroux, the training that we provide is really, really good, and it's to a very high standard. Now, I'm not saying that to be cavalier. I know what's out there. I'm not knocking anybody else's training. I haven't really audited anybody else's training, but I've audited yours, and I know the standard that we have with the foundation course for nannies. Just also going back a little bit about the standard in the UK, there are professional private schools that you can go to become a nanny, right? That doesn't exist here in the US. It sort of does, but I'm not going to get into that. People can do all the research they want on, where they can get their training and education and schooling, but it's like going to a school to become a chef, a culinary school. It's like a vocational school. We don't have those yet here in the US. We have early years education, we have colleges, we have universities, which we are now going to be delivering training via as well, I might add. But maybe it's because it's a status symbol. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I know what British nannies are saying, that they don't feel very well respected, but it kind of Norlands, with their beautiful uniforms and their attachment to the royal family, it's a status. I get excited. I could talk about this till the cows come home. But one thing I just want to point out is the qualifications that we have are not regulated in the same way that they have existing qualifications through cash in their brand. These are what we call customized qualifications. I'm going to show you a sample of a certificate. So over here we have the Nanny Stella, and then over here we have the cash customized qualifications. So a very popular word in the UK at the moment, I love it because it sounds quite snobby and posh, is bespoke. You'll hear British people talking about it's bespoke. I'm going to come under so much scrutiny for those quotation marks, but that's okay. Bespoke just means, being catered for or created for a certain audience. And that's what we were able to do. We were able to go to cash with what we had, sort of develop it more for the US market, even though these qualifications are offered worldwide, and deliver that to sort of strengthen our brands, but with the stamp of approval from cash in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can say, humble or not, I'm very proud of the fact that we did meet their standard, and all the work that went into accomplishing that, because it was a long process to get through that.
I have a lot of grey hairs from just getting the NCS course through.
Right. Um, but we are seeing a lot of things kind of change in our world given our current circumstances. And I feel like we're seeing a renewed interest in training. How do you feel that people who are working in our industry can kind of look at everything and say, hey, I'm in a good place, or maybe we need to reinvent a few things? What would you say to that?
I mean, I'm definitely all about reinvention, rebirth, because I've done that many times for myself. I think what's coming forward at the moment is the fact that people aren't necessarily just looking for nannies at this moment in time. They are looking for educators. Look, I have a degree. Some people have a degree. Some people don't have a degree. You can't get a degree overnight, but you can get these what I call tertiary qualifications, vocational qualifications that we are offering, and other people, I'm sure, are offering as well, that you can get in a shorter space of time. I'm really big on investing in yourself. You and I are going to be talking just globally about training in any capacity, any string to your bow, that when you come to the table and you're being interviewed, you're being interviewed, and you don't know how many other nannies are being interviewed for the position with the family that you're with. And I'll use myself as an example. When I was in my 30s, I went back to school to get the equivalent of the NNEB, which is there's another thing called NVQ in the UK, which is the equivalent of the NNEB. But as I've said, the NNEB is sort of archived, retired per se, so you can't get it. One thing that I never wanted was to be up against somebody else, up against somebody else that had something that I didn't. So when I was 10 years in, I had the experience, but I didn't have this nanny credential, this stamp of approval to say it. Look, for me, it validated me. I'm not saying it has to validate you. I'm just giving you my experiences. So that I could come along and say, yes, I have this experience, and I also have this piece of paper that says I invested in myself and I took the educational side of this very seriously. The other thing, and I'm not saying anybody else wanted to be on Nanny 911, but when they came looking for candidates, they were looking for British trained nannies. All three nannies, all four, because there were two Yvonnes, as we know, we won't get into that. But Nanny Stella, Nanny Deb, and Nanny Yvonne were all trained, as in the qualification side of the industry. I've gone off a tangent there, but it's really just investing in yourself and having more strings to your bow, so that when you come to the table, especially at this time, that you can say, well, during COVID, I did this, and this. It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be a huge investment. Our courses that we offer are seriously cheap. They are actually way too cheap. That's another conversation for another day. I will say, though, these prices will not last. They will not stay at the prices we have them set. We've tried to meet people during these crazy times. We've offered payment programs. It's not going to last. Did I answer your question, or did I ramble on as always?
No, you're fine. You've actually provided great information. And I will tell you, I hear that a lot from people. They think that investing in a course is expensive. And at the end of it, they're like, wow, I'm shocked at how much I got for the price that I paid. And of course, at least with our course, people who invest in it and then start working generally make their money back, even just from a foundational class, in 1 or 2 days of work.
Right.
And depending on how far they go, it might take a couple weeks. If you go all the way to Master NCS, it might take you a month. But you know what? You earn back all the money that goes into it. And that investment in yourself, I hear over and over and over again. Whether it's paid classes, whether it's free classes, but anything that you can document that provides a quality education to you, it pays you back in spades for your time and your money invested. So I'm all about it. I'm right there with you. Like, invest in yourself over and over and over again. It's always worth it.
I decided to put this up today because this is one of the things I use at events. You know,
Right.
I really do believing in investing in yourself, and just piggybacking off what you were saying about inexpensive courses or free courses. Many years ago, I did it's called basic food hygiene. Many years ago, way older than some people who are going to be watching this segment. And it was a 6-hour course. But when I showed up for nanny interviews, people paid so much attention to that piece of paper because they knew then that I understood how to handle food. You know, it might not have necessarily reflected that I knew how to make a bottle of formula, but it reflected that I wasn't going to cross contaminate their food. It cost hardly anything, and it took 6 hours. I think the equivalent here is food handler certification.
Yes.
Having a problem this evening. But yeah, look, I've said this before. I'm a snob. I'm a snob when it comes to certifications. I like it. And I like it especially for people that have so much experience but don't have it, to just be able to get these things now, you know, without going to school for 2, 3, 4 years. Look, I'm preaching to the converted. I love it.
Yeah, where I'm concerned, absolutely. I always tell people, you know what? At the end of the day, you're always going to learn something. Even if you know a lot of the material, you're always going to learn something, even if what you learn is I totally disagree with what they said. And it gives you a firmer belief and a firmer foundation than what you already know. But I have to say, I'm going to toot my own horn for just a second. But we just got a testimonial just last week from somebody who's been a nurse practitioner for many years. And she took our foundational training, and she said, I'm a little bit ashamed to say I even learned stuff, and I was not expecting that. And I was like, yes, I love it. Well, you know, because my passion, and I know yours is too, is to educate people, to elevate the standard in our industry for education and for the quality of care that the children are getting. And
absolutely.
So it excites me anytime I know that somehow I've had a small part in that. What else do you want to share with us tonight, Stella? What else do you want everybody in our audience to know about?
I just really want people to know that the climate is changing. I mean, you know, not to date our conversation this evening, but we are living in, you know, crazy COVID times. Going out there and getting a job is not, I mean, I don't throw the word job around lightly. This is a profession to me as it is to you. It's changing. I think, my personal opinion, that, you know, that families are really going to have their picking and choosing of the candidates that are out there. And I think that anything that you can bring, you know, with yourself to a family, that enhances, you know, their experience, your experience. It could be cooking. It could have been a virtual cooking class where, you know, you've learned to make a few dishes that you didn't know before. Again, I'm not. Of course, we're in a business, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I want us to sell our training. Of course, I want us to sell our training, but the bigger picture is about influencing the industry and being the best that you can be. You know, I know people are on a budget. I know people are struggling. And I get in trouble for this. I said this previously with Sue Downer. It's not my business to tell you not to buy yourself a cup of coffee from Starbucks that costs $5. But it only takes a few weeks of not doing that, and you can go out and do something. I'm repeating myself again, but I also want to be very, very mindful for people about their mental health. at this time, and job seeking and unemployment and all that kind of crazy stuff. Be kind to yourself. Don't put yourself under pressure. It's not about you going out there and going back to college and getting a degree. It's not about you going out there and spending tons and tons of money. But it really is just doing something for yourself that you can say, I did something. I learned something. I mean, we're all learning. There are lots of things out there. My thing is, do your research. Again, I don't want to throw anybody else's training under the bus, but ask. There are a lot of peers out there. There are a lot of people to ask. See what you're getting. What are you getting for your money? What are you learning? Is it updated? Are people continuously learning? Like, this is me tooting my horn as well as tooting yours. And I'm Michelle LaRose. We're constantly learning ourselves, but I'm coached by people. I know that you have people that you I don't know if coach is the right word, but I take under advisement all the time what I'm doing. I mean, if I was back out there now looking for a job, which I'm not, I'd be getting as many strings to my bow as I possibly could.
Yeah, I absolutely would too. Even now, where I only do fill-in work in terms of newborn care itself, I still took a multitude of classes in the last 12 months to continue to learn, to continue to grow, because things change, new information comes out. There's just so much that is out there that is available, and families value this. And you are right. Right now, the focus really is on the education aspect of things. And if you've got qualifications, even if you're not a teacher, if you've got qualifications that show that you are continually learning and growing and educating, I know that makes a difference to the families, because I'm hearing it from the nannies, I'm hearing it from the newborn care specialists, I'm hearing it from our students every single day, that makes a difference for them.
One thing I'd like to just add, I had a conversation. I was involved in an online conversation a few weeks ago. I don't want people to overwhelm their resume with little bits of things. You want something to have some weight to it. It wants to mean something. But even if you've just done something that's like an introduction to, or you've recently studied baby sign language, it's something that you can bring up in a conversation with the family. I say that because I know agencies, nanny matchmakers like myself as well, we all have different templates and different ways that we present our information, and one agency is going to say they want it one way and one agency is going to say they want it another way. But it's just being able to say that you have been doing things, because you don't want something to come under scrutiny as being some fancy credential, and it's not. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. And I will tell you that the agencies, everybody wanting things different, is a pet peeve of a lot of nannies in the nanny world. Makes them crazy. But that's a whole nother conversation, as you would say. So I am really excited to have had you share your information with us tonight. It's always fun to talk with you. It's always fun to learn from you. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that are really going to benefit from hearing some of this information, because a lot of people are asking, is it really worth it for me to invest my time and or my money right now in education when everything is so uncertain? And what I'm getting from you is a resounding yes. It's absolutely worth it. Is that correct?
Absolutely resounding yes. What I would say also is, obviously people have your information, they have my information. I have a small team who works with me. If anybody has any questions and they can't get directly to me, then somebody from my team will be happy to answer questions about any of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, don't hold back. As I said, we created payment plans, so some of this has been made easier. as Nike says, just do it. I have this thing where I'm saying, just start something.
Yep. And it ties into kind of what you said about, be kind to yourself. But where I say all the time is you are worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So thank you so much for joining us tonight on Real Talk, Stella. It has been an honor, and it's always fun to get to talk with you and to have everybody get to learn from you. So I really appreciate having you on tonight.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on Real Talk. And I'll talk to you later.
Absolutely. So if you have any questions for Stella about this topic or anything related to working with her or about cash certification or any of the classes, put them in the feed and tag Stella or tag Newborn Care Solutions, and we will make sure that she gets it. And if you're wanting to rewatch this segment or catch any of our past Real Talk episodes, along with accessing our other free content and checking out classes, pop on over to newborncaresolutions.com and click on the education tab, and you'll be able to see every single past episode and lots of other free content there as well. So there's a few opportunities to learn. Have a great night, and thank you for joining us.